The crisis report. The day after, November 6, 2024, a day that will live in infamy. And, well, hold on. Whoosh. We're going to cover it all. We have a lot of interesting facts, things that have gone down in the election, things that are going down geopolitically. What is Iran doing? What is Russia doing? What is Ukraine doing? What is America doing about all these conflict points? And what is to come? What's everything trending towards now that it is official that Donald J. Trump is the next president, 47th, of the United States? There's a lot of things that could change. Our stature in how we're helping, the Middle East. We could do strikes against Israel or Iran with Israel. We could broker a deal between Russia and Ukraine and say, you know what, you lost those territories now, and we're gonna, change our status with NATO. There's all kinds of things that are up in the air. The status quo has effectively been broken, and not only that. Other things are going on. The government in Germany has basically collapsed tonight. Now, what do I mean? That doesn't mean there's no government, but in the European parliamentarian way that they do things, the government's coalition, which is 3 or 4 parties, has basically broken up. They're not going to do it. They're done. It started with the termination of the finance minister, resignation. I don't know which one. We'll get to it. I have all this in the report, of course. We're going to talk about everything. This is on Substack. It is PrepperNow.substack.com. If you would like to get all of this, I was going back through a lot of the older stuff. It's very interesting to watch how things have evolved on here and on, of course, the mother channel of PrepperNow. But we've got a good mojo going right now. We're getting good views. We're just doing it consistently. Some people don't like what we do here, but you know what? That's a beautiful thing about the internet. There are literally millions upon millions of channels, and if you don't like what we're doing here, I strongly suggest you try it somewhere else or figure out someone else that you like that aligns with your, mentality or thinking. As for here, I am an educator by trade, and so I come here and I just lay it all out. I find all the information and I drop it down so you guys can take all of this and make your own informed decisions, So here we are. We're approaching the 4-minute mark here in about 30 seconds. Generally, the way I like to do it is to come here and do this and then have all of the people join in as the kids fill in the classroom, but a lot of interesting nuggets on this one. A lot of interesting things that'll make you scratch your head and wonder. And, per my video earlier on Prepper Now, some people are like, well, can't we just, enjoy it for a day? Yes, you should enjoy the fact that the people very resoundingly spoke and said, you know what, we're done with all this social culture engineering, this cultural Marxism or whatever. But at the same time, there's a lot of really smart people in the background that are going to take things in ways that we might not like. So it's always good to be vigilant. It's good to be happy and, do what you're supposed to do. And, your whole life shouldn't be doom and gloom, but at the same time, you should be a realist. We still have issues with all kinds of stuff. One of my favorite was people were telling me, we've got all these different ways to deal with our debt. Well, if we have all these different ways to deal with our debt, let's deal with it. Let's do it. Let's go in there and let's get sound money again. I would love to hear how that's done. I heard one person on another stream say that we can sell all of our land in the West. Another person said we can write it all off. I would love for that to happen. Go for it. Let's knock down the debt. And one of these wonderfully easy ways to do it. But I have a feeling it's not as wonderful and it's not as easy as some people think. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying I hope that it is simplistic as it is being put out there, but I just don't see that. So we're going to go through this. We'll have some light analysis, and we'll just, take you through it. We'll see what you have to say. Okay? This is your crisis report for November 6, 2024. Netanyahu called Trump, congratulated on history's greatest comeback. Your historic return to the White House offers a new beginning for America and a powerful recommitment. Great alliance between Israel and America. Medvedev said Kamala Harris is finished. The goals of the special military operation will be achieved. Iran's currency, the rial, fell to an all-time low as DJT won the election. The rial traded at 703,000 rials to the dollar earlier today. Germans on the wrong side of history again. Only 28% of Germans thought Trump would win. Hamas. We urge Trump to learn from the Biden's mistakes. Democratic Party's loss is the natural price for its leadership's criminal stance towards Gaza. Turkish President Erdogan said, I congratulate my friend Donald Trump on his election as President of the United States. War doesn't stop. Ukrainian kamikaze UAVs hit Kaspiysk, Dagestan this morning. Main base of the Caspian flotilla of the Russian Navy was attacked. Kremlin said it is impossible to end the Ukrainian conflict overnight. German Chancellor Scholz on Trump said Germany and the U.S. have been working together successfully, promoting prosperity and freedom on both sides of the Atlantic. We will continue to do so for the well-being of our citizens. Deputy Commander of Iran's IRGC, Tehran, does not rule out the possibility of the United States and Israel launching a preemptive strike to prevent an Iranian response. President-elect Donald Trump's Vice President, J.D. Vance, says we have built a foreign policy of hectoring, moralizing, and lecturing countries that don't want anything to do with it. Chinese have a foreign policy of building roads and bridges and feeding poor people. Massive fire in Israel's Avavim, Upper Galilee, after Hezbollah rocket strikes. About 120 rockets have been launched from Lebanon towards Israel since this morning. Trump on Ukraine claimed he could broker peace between Ukraine and Russia within 24 hours, citing ties with Putin and Zelensky, but lacked specific plans. Criticized U.S. aid to Ukraine, arguing it fuels conflict and supports an uncooperative Ukraine. Trump on Iran says plans to reinstate maximum pressure sanctions to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions, open to a new nuclear deal with Iran, aiming for swift negotiations, committed to aiding Israel against Iranian influence, strengthening ties with Arab allies, potentially revitalizing the Abraham Accords. Trump on Israel and Gaza. He says, backing Israel's military actions against Hamas with unwavering political and diplomatic support. He urges a swift end to the Gaza conflict, aiming for resolution by January 2025. Two-state solution now sees it as very tough to achieve amid the recent violence. Committed to ending endless wars while strengthening Israel's recent violence. Strengthening Israel's security. My apologies. So, committed to ending endless wars while strengthening Israel's security. Said that wrong. Let's see. Euro has fallen against the dollar after Trump's victory. Kamala Harris's campaign is reportedly preparing a concession speech that came and went, and a certain woodland creature decided to grace the stage in a victory lap. We'll get to that one later on. Secret Service has moved an entire full security detail to Mar-a-Lago. Kamala Harris expected to give her concession speech, did it about 4 p.m. Significant escalation in Israeli-Lebanon war. Hezbollah launches a large-scale missile attack targeting Tel Aviv area and Ben Gurion Airport. In Russia, the SMO, Trump defeated Kamala, of course, 2024. became the 47th president. World froze in anticipation of change. Russian armed forces, despite the election results, continue their offensive. Ukraine suffers one defeat after another. It will be very interesting to see what happens with the SMO. Rada deputy has begged Trump to help Ukraine hold presidential elections and make the country democratic again. Otherwise, according to Yevgeny Shevchenko, this authoritarian dictatorial regime will completely destroy Ukraine. Vladimir Zelensky's presidential term expired in the spring, and very interesting post, I thought, because it's true. It's I think May was when Zelensky was basically no longer legally, per their constitution, able to lead the country, yet here he is. So we'll see where that goes. Summary of Sheikh Naim Qassem's speech. He's the General Secretary of Hezbollah, and today he spoke. Today marks the 40th day since the martyrdom of Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, who united all segments of society in Hezbollah. He built a party that resists the enemy and strengthens national institutions with a solid structure across various fields. Resistance of Hezbollah is characterized by strength, courage, and a firm belief in martyrdom. Sayyid Nasrallah, I can't read who that is. Whoever's giving me tips, thank you so much. My phone's about to die, so I got it on super low vision. The resistance of Hezbollah is characterized by strength, courage, and a firm belief in martyrdom. Sayyid Nasrallah received prestigious achievements as a leader of resistance. His legacy endures, and the resistance will grow. Netanyahu aims to eliminate Hezbollah, occupy Lebanon, and reshape the Middle East, unaware that he confronts a determined resistance. Occupation employs brutal tactics against civilians and relies on superior air power, but fears directly engaging our fighters. Hezbollah has tens of thousands of fighters and will force the enemy to halt its aggression. We rely on the field. The occupation is a loser. Our strength lies in continuous resistance. Hezbollah does not depend on American elections, which are meaningless to us. Our focus is to prevent the occupation from achieving its goals. We will not bow to anyone but God. Netanyahu cannot win. Negotiations will occur only after aggression ceases, with the Lebanese state and Speaker Nabi Berri mediating. Any negotiation must include stopping aggression, ensuring full protection of the Lebanese sovereignty. I urge the Lebanese army to protect maritime borders and clarify the reasons for the breach in Batroun. A resistance led by the martyr Sayyid Nasrallah will achieve victory with heads held high, and the era of defeats is over. We will win, even if it takes time. The enemy seeks a war of attrition, but we will stand firm no matter how long it lasts, inflicting pain on the enemy. So obviously, Qassem is not going anywhere. Hezbollah is not going anywhere. UN nuclear watchdog Chief Rafael Grossi said he might visit Tehran in the coming days, and he expects to work cooperatively with the newly elected U.S. President Donald Trump. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte congratulated Trump. I look forward to working with him again to advance peace through strength. Macron congratulated Trump on his victory in the U.S. presidential election. Europe will run more independently after Trump won the U.S. and on elections, or won the U.S. elections. Macron's statement is, I just spoke with Chancellor Scholz. We will work together towards a more united, stronger, and more sovereign Europe in this new context by cooperating with the United States of America and defending our interests and values. First strong impacts reported after missile launches of missiles towards northern and central Israel. Looks like the central sector. Two important questions are currently on the table after the U.S. elections have won by Trump. One, they continue the G-side tendencies after the Palestinians in Gaza. Two, will a ceasefire deal be established? And three, is the situation between Iran and Israel worsening due to Trump's connection with Netanyahu? I think, if anything, it's going to just basically put them together, and they're going to start to really hammer them at that point. What kind of a response we get from Iran or its proxies, we don't know. Russia. The U.S. is an unfriendly country involved in a war against Russia. Putin has no plans to congratulate Trump, Kremlin spokesperson Peskov said. Race remains hot. Minuteman III ICBM was launched tonight from Vandenberg Space Force Base, California, by the Air Force Global Strike Command. Picture U.S. Space Force photo by Airman First Class Olga Hutzma. A glimpse into the future. NWO Ukraine. From now on, banks will provide info on financial transactions at the request of the National Police. Zelensky signed the law. Banks are obliged to report full name or name of the recipient, device identifier, operation code, account and card number. This is allegedly aimed for strengthening the control over financial crimes. So check out all that and take a gander, because thinking that it couldn't come here, well, I think you better think of all contingencies. Military warhawks preparing to establish unified NWO-EU federal state of the European Union with an EU army. Just moments after Trump got elected, German Defense Minister Pistorius urgently held phone call with his French counterpart, German Ministry of Defense. Pistorius is supposedly the next guy in line for the German Prime Minister. Or Chancellor, excuse me. That's right. Chancellor is what their big deal is. We shall see. So, a lot going on. We're going to get to the German government problems, and there's a lot tonight. Economists warn Britain's poorest families left 600 sterling a year worse off by regressive budget. Britain's poorest families will be left 600 sterling a year worse off by the Chancellor Rachel Reeves' regressive budget, economists are warning. Footage of a launch of a Minuteman III ICBM from Vandenberg Air Force Base, November 6, 2024, towards the Marshall Islands, Western Pacific. Yes, that happened. Major fires in Avivim, northern sector on the border with Lebanon after heavy impacts from rockets. Ukrainian army engaged in battles with North Korean troops on the battlefield for the first time. Zelensky confirms that one. NBC, quoting an Israeli official, Netanyahu may end the war in Gaza early in Trump's term to give him a quick diplomatic victory. So that would be in the January, February, March kind of time frame, if that. So you're looking at still another 6 months of war. It's time for the U.S. to end the crisis in Ukraine, Senate Intelligence Committee Vice Chairman Marco Rubio said in an interview with NBC. Delicate multilateral talks on Ukraine are already underway and have gained momentum in recent months, New York Times reports. According to them, quiet diplomatic efforts are being carried out to align the Chinese-Brazilian plan with Zelensky's peace formula. Diplomats say it is not yet clear how Trump's role as a mediator will fit into these efforts. Apparently, they mean the meetings in the contact groups where Ukraine negotiates with the mediators and then separate negotiations between the mediators and the Russian Federation on each point of the peace plan. Trump left with extremely favorable borrowing rates, and he might come back into much tighter conditions. He will demand the Fed go NIRP, that is negative interest rate plan, in order to kick off the presidency. What say you? This is from a financial blog. Negative interest rates basically means that when your money is in the bank, when you have positive interest rates, you get a little bit. Like you have $10,000 in there and you get like, 50 cents or whatever. Well, this would go the other way. This would make it so you lose a little bit. You actually shed money. So how much that is, what it looks like, I don't know. Central banking, especially the Federal Reserve, has long been a significant and controversial force in American economics since its inception. The Fed has wielded extraordinary influence over the U.S. economy through monetary policy, debt management, inflation control. But what if central banking itself is one of the most root causes of many economic challenges, including rising national debt and wealth inequality? This article, it's by, Rethinking the Dollar, I think is what it's called. He's an excellent, I like his channel a lot. He's got a Telegram I follow. But anyway, Rethinking the Dollars, what this guy's blog is. But he says, a return to sound money backed by tangible assets like gold would be smart. He said, the founding fathers' vision of money is a minimalistic government that would protect individual liberties and property rights without meddling too deeply in citizens' lives. Well, gosh, bring that, please. That's what everybody wants. Nobody wants government in their life. The government does not do anything directly positive. The government is to have sound money and protect us from foreign entities, and that's literally just about it. Do our system of courts and our post office and talk to other countries. Literally it. So all this other stuff is just crap. Constitution grants Congress the responsibility to regulate its money's value, but the power was intended to be based on physical standards, especially using metals like gold and silver. Correct. That's why it's in the Constitution. Central banking system, as we know it, diverges from this vision by allowing the Federal Reserve to regulate interest rates and manage the economy's overall liquidity. Critics argue that the Fed's actions stray far from the founders' original intentions and contribute to economic instability. I would agree with that. I think a lot of people here would agree with that. We don't have sound money. We have a disjointed system of money, and at some point it's going to make a financial crisis happen again. It's just inevitable. They do happen every so often, and take the Fed out, we might be able to solve such calamity, but we'll see. We're already working up towards another one. Jeff Bezos wished Trump success. Big congratulations to our 45th and now 47th president on the extraordinary political comeback and decisive victory. No nation has bigger opportunities. Hold on real quick. That is Jeff kissing Trump's orange backside because, well, Jeff's a businessman. He's not stupid. And he said, you know what? Things will be better for my company under his presidency than what's going on now. So everything comes down to the economy. Former U.S. President George W. Bush congratulated President-elect Donald Trump, VP-elect Vice President J.D. Vance, on winning the 2024 election. Mitch McConnell on election results said, if you're looking for a simple answer, I think it was a referendum on the current administration. People were just not happy with the current administration, and the Democratic nominee obviously was a part of that. Correct, Mitch. Now you can retire and go away. Love you. Bye. Apple CEO Tim Cook congratulated Donald Trump on a victory. So we look forward to engaging with you and your administration to help make sure the United States continues to lead with and be fueled by ingenuity, innovation, and creativity. Hear, hear. I agree with you, Mr. Cook. Kamala Harris called Trump to congratulate him on winning the 2024 presidential election. Per a Harris aide, Kamala Harris discussed the importance of a peaceful transfer of power and being a president for all Americans, according to the Washington Post. Talking to my mom earlier tonight, they're, of course, ecstatic. And my mom was like, I want to listen to what she had to say, but evidently she kept people waiting. And she thought, I really don't want to have to hear her talk again, so I'm just going to move on with my life. And that's the last of that. And that's what you should do. There's something going on you don't like or whatever, move on. Don't be around it. Special Counsel Jack Smith is in active talks with senior leadership at the DOJ evaluating ways he can end his prosecutions of President-elect Donald Trump, according to ABC. Germany's Schultz fired finance minister. Official. That is official. Now that Biden knows what the American people want and how his own party has betrayed him, he can go down in history as the president who destroyed Israel's nuclear sites, leaving behind a safer world. He has 2.5 months and the heavy bombers are ready. That is Amir Sarfati. We're going into Amir Sarfati zone, so if you don't like what he has to say. But he's basically begging Biden to go in and take out the nuclear sites. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I could really see Trump doing it. So we'll see. I think that's the kind of stuff that's going to happen. Beirut's International Airport is now a target that was targeted today. Ramming and stabbing attack in Shiloh intersection. Binyamin. Terrorists arrived with a vehicle in the intersection and tried to run over several civilians. 2 young citizens slightly injured from the trampling. Later, the terrorist got out of his vehicle and tried to stab the civilians with a screwdriver. Terrorist was neutralized by shooting by a civilian on the spot. Tehran, just hours after Trump's victory, Khamenei regime is already provoking the U.S. and Israel. Latest billboard in Palestine Square: America will throw you like a used toilet paper. IDF spokesman: following the alerts that were activated a short time ago in the Upper Galilee area, about 50 launches were detected that crossed the territory of Lebanon. Some were intercepted. Falls were detected. Regime in Iran released a new threatening video in which they vow to eliminate President Trump. IDF warplanes recently attacked several targets in the Dakhia district in Beirut. This after warning messages published by the IDF spokesman in Arabic. Unusually, among the targets that were attacked was a building near the Rafik Hariri International Airport in Beirut. Documents from the unusual attack are attached. Decision Desk HQ has called Nevada and Arizona for Trump. Final tally: 312 electoral votes, 6 more than 2016, and a big 5 million popular vote win. He swept the battleground states. Yep, they called Nevada and Arizona. Final tally. And they've got Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. I've got some interesting facts about Pennsylvania coming up here in a moment. You're gonna want to hear this. People have been writing to me asking if it's true that a military coup is beginning in Israel. My answer is no. These are completely false news, fake news. Like in many Western countries, we do have a deep state, liberal, progressive, globalist elements within the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. There is indeed a great need to drain the swamp, but, as in the case of America, the people have spoken on Election Day, which in our case was 2 years ago, and that's final. Iran-backed Houthis declared ceasefire shortly after Donald Trump's victory. Quote, "Our operations in international waters were purely defensive, and we announced their final cessation." Interesting. RFK has stated that he plans to eliminate entire departments within the FDA once Trump is inaugurated as president. Please do it. Representative Thomas Massie has allegedly accepted a role in Trump's cabinet as Secretary of Agriculture. This was heralded by Joel Salatin. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a real proponent of clean food, farm food, by farmers, for Americans, with none of this extra crap that's poisoning us, something my wife and I, of course, are very much into. But Joel was very happy with this of Thomas getting in there because he is not the norm, and he could really do some good work in the Department of Agriculture to make our food get back to basics and be what it was when our parents were growing up. Biden-Harris administration is going to send $6 billion in taxpayer funds to Ukraine before Donald Trump is inaugurated in January. 5 pharmaceutical CEOs held an emergency teleconference with a lawyer, confirming that there was widespread panic amongst those involved. You better be panicked if they get done what they think they want to get done. Trump media chief Caroline Leavitt: mass deportations will begin on day 1 of a Trump presidency. On Reddit, Trans Guns, which is a subreddit, American militants of the changeover variety are becoming increasingly militant over a Donald Trump victory and afraid of supposed coming persecution of them in the United States, arming themselves to protect themselves from the incoming, quote, Trumpist dictatorship. There are actually people that think that that is going to happen. Leader of the Alternative for Deutschland Party, AfD, Alice Weidel, on the collapse of the German government. Quote, "The end of the traffic light coalition," which is green, and the SPD Green Party and the FDP, which is green, yellow, and red, is a liberation for our country. The end of the self-proclaimed Progress Coalition, which has led Germany with great strides towards the economic abyss, was more than expected. Final Senate tally, likely to be 54 to 46 in favor of Republicans. Outstanding competitive races: Wisconsin, Democrat, hold. Incumbent Tammy Baldwin, likely to win re-election. Alyssa Schlotkin to win a narrow victory with Wayne County, Detroit results tipping the balance. Democrat, hold. Pennsylvania, likely Democrat, hold. Incumbent Bill Casey will probably hold his seat, as most outstanding votes are from Philadelphia, where current margins hold will be enough to overwhelm Republican David McCormick's current 33,000 vote lead. Nevada, Republican flip. Republican challenger Sam Brown will beat incumbent Jackie Rosen, as nearly all votes from Clark County have been already counted. Arizona, leaning right and flipping. Much of the outstanding vote in Arizona is in right-leaning counties and the Republican parts of Maricopa County, the Phoenix area. Donald Trump lost Maricopa in 2020, but has won the county this time around, as he did Miami-Dade, which was incredibly telling of what's going on. If results pan out as outlined above, this would give the Republicans the largest Senate majority in a decade. Trump transition team met with someone from Project 2025, states CNN. The horror. During Kamala's concession speech, a squirrel made an appearance on the stage before the defeated vice president went to the place. Was it the ghost of Peanut doing a victory lap? We don't know, but we will always wonder. Politico, who might make up Trump's cabinet? Secretary of State, possible picks. Richard Grenell, blunt outspokesman, MAGA advocate, emerged from the Trump administration as one of the former president's top diplomatic prize fighters. He served as U.S. ambassador to Germany, where he roiled the German diplomatic establishment, and then served as acting director of national intelligence, becoming the first openly gay cabinet secretary in U.S. history. He has cemented himself as one of the most influential advisors on foreign policy issues in Trump's orbit. Trump refers to him as my envoy, and many GOP experts consider him to be a top contender, either Secretary of State, National Security Advisor. Right now he's the senior advisor of the Protecting America Initiative, nonprofit focused on combating the influence of the Chinese government. Bill Hagerty, Tennessee senator, is one of the establishment Republicans who turned to the MAGA movement after he won in 2016. A George H.W. Bush administration vet, early supporter of Jeb Bush, Hagerty went on to serve as Trump's ambassador to Japan for running the Senate in 2020. Hagerty has used his position on the powerful Senate Foreign Relations Committee to stake out a reputation. Staunch China hawk, he was also among a small number of senators who voted against the national security aid package passed earlier this year with increased funding for Ukraine. He said at the time it was because the package failed to address border security. Robert O'Brien, he stands out as the only one of Trump's 4 national security advisors who hasn't had a high-profile falling out with the former president. O'Brien served as Trump's special envoy for hostage affairs 18 to 19, where he entered the MAGA spotlight in a bizarre chapter of Trump-era diplomacy. He helped free U.S. rapper A$AP Rocky from Swedish custody after an alleged brawl in Stockholm. Trump intervened in the case, reportedly threatening a trade war with Sweden over the matter. O'Brien would be welcomed in Brussels and Kiev and is seen as a big supporter of NATO and Ukraine in the Republican Party. Marco Rubio, former Trump opponent turned supporter, hardline views on many foreign policy issues, especially Cuba and Iran. Still, the Florida senator worked with Democrats on legislation that makes it harder for Trump to quit NATO. He also tried to seem supportive of Ukraine without breaking entirely with Trump's position that Kiev must negotiate with Moscow to end the war. Rubio would sail through a GOP-controlled Senate and would likely pick up a few Democratic votes along the way. Big question is whether Trump would see him as too weak for the American chief diplomat. And Mike Waltz, U.S. Army veteran, former Green Beret, one of the most strident China hawks in Congress, and supported U.S. aid to Ukraine while seeking to boost oversight on taxpayer funding for Kiev's war efforts. He was also at the vanguard of the Republican backlash over President Joe's botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Waltz, a Florida representative, has emerged in GOP circles as a potential contender for a top national security post in a second Trump term, including Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, or a senior intelligence agency posting. I see him as a Secretary of Defense. They're leaving someone out, which I think would be an excellent Secretary of State. That would be Vivek Ramaswamy. I really do think that. I think he would bring India closer. I think he would be enough of a stalwart that he would keep China at bay, and he is a highly intelligent person that when you get him going can really just run circles around you with what he has to say and how quick he is. I mean, he really is a bright spot. So we'll see. He's going to have something somewhere, I think. Germany's government has collapsed as a result of the Liberal Party announcing their desire to leave the government coalition and the sacking of Liberal Minister of Finance Christian Lindner by Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Scholz said the vote of confidence in January and a potential snap election in March are coming. Western bloggers published new plans for Ukraine in response to the stationing of North Korean troops in the contested territory in the east. According to the map, large parts of Ukraine should be under the command of an international multinational alliance to relieve the Ukrainian army so that it can better cope with the new challenges. Step might be related to Trump's re-election and the possible withdrawal from current priorities of the Biden administration, who has supported Kiev. So I don't know the validity of this or whatever, but they're basically saying an international coalition taking on Russia, or at least occupying if they were to get to a peace deal. I don't know exactly how that would look, but that's what one plan is. North Korean soldiers engaged in combat against Ukrainian forces for first time in Kursk Oblast, a region in western Russia. On Monday, November 4th, a U.S. defense official told Fox News. For the first time in Israel's history, it is hit by a missile with a 500 kilograms of explosive. Scenes from the operating targeting the Zrifin base, Zrifin base of the Israeli army, south of Tel Aviv, with Iranian Fatah 110 ballistic missiles used officially for the first time in the war. Fatah 110 is the missile that the U.S. and EU accused Iran of providing Russia with. Hezbollah chief, Israeli targets within range. Leader of Hezbollah, Sheikh Naim Qassem, warned the Zionist regime that the Lebanese resistance movement's missiles and drones are capable of reaching their targets wherever the group wants. Germany, new elections likely in March after end of the coalition was announced. Scholz on the end of the traffic light coalition. And a fun fact. I would like to give a hat tip to my man PA 5x5 for this one. Kamala lost Pennsylvania by 133,665 votes. Well, here's another fun fact. Amish voted for the first time to the tune of over 180,000 in Pennsylvania. Some people believe the Amish won Pennsylvania for Mr. Trump. I guess they should have left the raw milk producers alone. Yeah. See, that's what these people don't understand. They're starting to mess with people's children. They're starting to mess with people's livelihoods. You know, you can do all the social engineering crap you want, you know, and people can look the other way and say, you know what, NIMBY, not in my backyard, but whatever you do down there, whatever. This is really starting to affect people. So when your bread has gone up by 50%, your eggs are, you know, if you can find them, are $4 or $5 a dozen. People are pissed, you know, they get mad. They want things back to normal, and $3, $4 eggs is not normal. So, to the Amish, if that is true, and I'm taking his word on it, but if that is true, God bless you all for doing what you did. And if you saw my post on PrepperNow on the community page, what they're doing in Western North Carolina, they are a special people. And I got to tell you, there's been many times in the last 5 years I said, you know what? The Amish got it right. California has reported one new human case of H5N1 bird flu, bringing the statewide total to 21. 47 cases have now been reported nationwide this year. There you go. And another fun fact about this election, Kamala won all the states that don't require voter ID. Yes, that's right. I voted in Maryland. No ID was required. They asked me where I live, what my name is, what's my address, from there a signature, and we're done. I don't know about you. And it's funny, I had my wallet in my hand, and she kind of looked at me. I'm like, when do you need my ID? Never asked for it. So that's the kind of stuff. People ask, the GOP's got to get started. Let's start with our voting rules. Let's just go back to the way we did it in 2012. Cool? That would go so much farther than all this other stuff. Let's just take voting back to where we were 12 years ago. Okay? That's your crisis report, friends. November 6, 2024. The earth is a different place. Donald J. Trump is coming back. To those that are the DT is the AC folks, you won, so we'll see. I am still open to it. By the way, be nice to those people. They are, they believe that they've got it on lock and they know what's going on. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. I keep my mind open, but they do a lot of research from what I understand, so we'll see. I'd say at this point, just enjoy this right now. Hopefully it's not a Pyrrhic victory, and let's get to doing things. Like I was talking to my wife, let's get the finances back. Let's work some kind of a stimulus of some sort or something to make it so jobs get hired and to get people back to work and stop hemorrhaging jobs and get the free cash flow of people spending money. So we shall see. All right, friends, God bless. That's your crisis report. And we will see you on the next one. There's a bunch of links in the description. If you're into that kind of thing, love to see you on Locals or Subscribestar. Love to see you on Minds, Gab, X, Truth. And then, of course, you can be a wonderful member here on YouTube. So don't put your guard down, folks. Something's going on. Trust me. A little too easy right now. I don't like it. By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. Maybe I'm just being a doomer. I don't know. But stay frosty. God bless. PrepperNow.